Venus in Aries is a very spicy combo, which is about as difficult as it is extraordinary. And after seeing as many charts as I've seen, I feel pretty confidently inclined to say that the effects of Venus in Aries will be more conspicuous in female charts. And I think this is just because of how much deviation from social norm there is, respectively. So, to get started with explaining this hot, spicy combo, let's just look at the most fundamental resonance. You can see right at the root of both the planet and the sign, there's a fundamental clash. Venus represents femininity. Aries represents masculinity. These are the roots of everything else that the planet and the sign symbolize. And just as I preface this whole thing by saying it's as difficult as it is extraordinary, similarly you can see with this particular clash between masculinity and femininity, obviously they're opposites, but obviously the joining of the masculine and female is what produces creativity and everything. So similarly, this is a clash which also has a lot of really beautiful sparks. Basically, however, we wouldn't treat this as a clash. The planet and the sign are signifying opposite things. One is signifying femininity, one is signifying masculinity. So what you expect from this is, well, it's like the union of male and female. So it's going to be difficult, but exciting, and it's going to be compelling, but you wish you weren't compelled to it. It's Venus in Aries has that kind of charge, that kind of passion, that kind of irresistibility to it. So it's a very sexy placement. So to break it down for you, the planet in the sign won't be able to fulfill its normal agenda. Planets go into signs and fulfill their agendas with the resources of the sign. So Venus has a feminine agenda, but it has masculine resources in Aries. So you're going to get that sort of mix, which is very sexy, very passionate, kind of bold and outgoing, and a lot of enthusiasm will result. The male quality is that it has a lot of lust, a lot of libido. So you're going to get, with Venus in Aries, femininity is in that domain. So it's going to become very enthusiastic. It's going to get a lusty feeling to it. It's going to be bold, exciting, reckless, not very cautious. Now, every other thing about Venus and Aries is going to be some kind of permutation of this masculinity, femininity thing. So the next thing that I would like to point out to you is femininity has to do with love. Love has to do with unity. Unity has to do with harmony and partnership. So Venus represents harmony, partnership, marriage, etc. Aries, on the other hand, represents masculinity. Masculinity is about strength, adventure, and therefore independence. Venus represents partnership, but Aries represents independence. So Venus is trying to fulfill its partnership agenda, but all the resources available are lending towards independence and individuality and freedom. So what to expect? There's going to be complications about partnerships. And the complications will revolve around the classic submissive dominant polarity. There'll be issues cooperating in being consistently or effectively submissive or dominant. They'll want to break free from the partnerships because of feeling bored or limited by the partnership. A third thing to mention is that femininity is the incoming thing, right? Masculinity is the outgoing thing. So femininity is receptive and masculinity is inceptive, and that's a big clash between Venus and Aries. The agenda of Venus is to give us all of our receptivity, which is sensitivity, ability to listen, stuff like that. To fulfill this agenda, all it has is masculine resources, which is not about receptivity, it's about assertion and aggression and starting things. So, the combination of the two The effect is that the native tends to be more attuned to themselves. They're not attuned very well, or as well as they need to be, to the wants and perspectives of the partner, because they're so gung-ho about their own perspectives and wants and desires. Let's end this by mentioning two classic figures who have Venus in Aries: Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor. Like the two names that are right up there on the top of the list of historically sexy, amazing women. Venus in Aries. Femininity versus masculinity. Bam, very sexually charged. Very sexual. Very sexy. Very enthusiastic, outgoing, assertive enough to be seen, to express their sexuality. That's how they get known for it. So that's like an exact match for the fundamental clash, femininity, masculinity. You look at Marilyn Monroe, look at Elizabeth Taylor. And then also, very ironically, the partnershipiness of Venus versus the independence of Aries. It's supposed to create difficulties in partnerships. Look at Marilyn Monroe's marriage. Look at Elizabeth Taylor's marriages. They're like historically classic people with repeated marital failures. And it's very interesting that they're the sexy, beautiful woman that everybody wants, which is the product of Venus and Aries, yet they can't have a reasonable, sustained relationship, which is also the product of Venus and Aries. And that's why I began by saying it's as difficult as it is extraordinary. Now, what we do in these videos with the planets and the signs is I show you a consistent technique that you can use for any planet and any sign. And the technique is very simple. You look for where the planet symbolizes something that's very, very similar to what the sign symbolizes. And once you find that, you assess whether or not the planet and the sign are harmonious about that thing, or whether they're antithetical about that thing. The dissonant resonance reveals what's complex or difficult for the native. The harmonious resonance, on the other hand, indicates what's easy, what comes natural, what's an inherent strength for the native. What I'm teaching you really is the method of how to do astrological interpretation by going down into the engine of the symbolism and comparing the parts. The actual interpretation that you should give is going to be individualized per the individual chart. So if you have person A with the moon in Scorpio and person B with the moon in Scorpio, it's not going to be exactly the same interpretation. Because person B's moon might have an aspect from something and person A's moon doesn't, etc., 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 etc. But what I'm showing you in the videos is the backbone of what a planet and a sign symbolizes. And once you understand that backbone, you modify it based on the circumstances, the extraneous circumstances that are affecting an individual chart. So I hope you really like this system, not just this one video, but all the videos that we do on the planets and the signs. We'll do them all. And I hope you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of those. And I hope to see you around soon. Thank you.